awesome Blizzcon people. How are you guys doing? Oh yeah, I'm super excited. These are probably the 2 best days in gaming, and you guys want to know why? Because I get to hang out with awesome people like yourselves, people who play our games, who love our games, and we just love being here with you guys. So my name is Josh Mosquera. I'm the game director of Diablo 3 and Reaper of Souls, and I want to welcome you guys to this great panel, Blood and Treasure. We're going to talk about all the awesome content updates that you guys can expect in the months and maybe weeks to come. So I'm sure you guys are all maybe dying for a little Diablo information. Yeah, awesome. Before we get to that, one of the things we talked about last BlizzCon is how we really wanted to create this living legacy with Reaper of Souls. So I want to take a couple of moments just to talk about legacy. And for us, there are 2 key ingredients to legacy. The first one is you guys, is our community. Without you guys playing our game, loving our games, giving us such amazing feedback that would help us channel our passion for this game, we wouldn't be here. And this year, we wanted to do something different for BlizzCon. Instead of a bunch of panels, we decided we wanted to do a Slaughter Cafe-In, have some time just to hang out and geek out with you guys about what makes Diablo such an awesome game and you guys such an amazing community. So we have some great lightning talks. Come have a few refreshments. If you like beer, there'll be beer over there. But just come out and hang out because we're all going to be hanging out there and just anxious to answer all your questions. But I said there were 2 key aspects to legacy. The second one is the games themselves. So who first started playing with D3? Who was D3 their first Diablo game? Awesome, thank you for coming on this crazy journey. What about D2? Any D2 players in the house? Yeah, that was a pretty awesome game. And what about D1? Who here remembers playing D1 when it first came out? And to me, it changed my life in so many ways. That was the very first game that I actually felt that I was playing, that there was some game master or dungeon master in my computer rolling up this amazing adventure just for me. And I feel so privileged to be part of this legacy. But when we're thinking about the legacy of these Diablo games, it's really when the expansions came out that the legacy of these games was really cemented. For D2, we had the amazing Lord of Destruction. And for D3, we had Reaper of Souls. But it wasn't just the patches, it wasn't just the expansions, but it's really the patches that we kept releasing after launch that really helped contribute to where these games became and where they are. So I just want to take you back very briefly to the journey that we as a community have taken since we launched Reaper of Souls. And in fact, we started before Reaper of Souls with patch 2.0, where we got rid of the auction house. We introduced, you guys said you wanted better loot, we gave you better loot with Loot 2.0. New difficulty settings. And then we released Reaper of Souls, right? We added the Crusader, which is an amazing evolution of the Paladin. And what about Act 5, right? A darker, more gothic Diablo, which was always a plan all along. But we didn't stop there. We didn't just add adventure mode and call it quits. For us, death was very much the beginning. And from there, we ended up adding a lot of great features. Seasons. Amazing how much you guys love seasons, right? You guys come back every season. More of you come back, have an amazing time. We introduced greater rifts, but we didn't stop there. We added new treasure goblins, more items. I mean, with so many items, they're actually having a bit of a problem what to do with all these awesome items. I hope we can figure that out soon. You know, more treasure goblins, more bounties, but really, it was patch 2.3 that I think has been our biggest, but not best, patch yet. Not only did we introduce the Ruins of Secheron, we finally got to play in the barbarian homeland and find out what happened, and I really geek out about that. But it's also a very key patch for us because we released Kenai's Cube, which is it's not just a great memorial for one of our fallen comrades, but it's also one of the great new evolutions of a beloved Diablo 2 feature. So this is where we are now, but we're not done yet. We have so much more to give you guys for Reaper of Souls, and today we're going to talk about patch 2.4. This is going to be our biggest and our best patch to date. We're introducing 2 new areas, and Matthew here is going to give you a guided tour of what you can expect. Alex is going to talk about set dungeons, and what is it? No spoilers, but it might have something to do with sets. And then Wyatt and Kevin are going to talk about all the great new features and changes to season that you guys can expect to play very, very, very soon. So let's kick it off. I'm going to hand you over to Matthew Berger, and he will talk to you guys about the new areas. What's up, Matthew?
Thank you. It's both amazing and not a little bit terrifying to be standing in front of so many Diablo players. Whether you guys are playing on PC, on console, or both. You guys are all experts at Diablo. So you know that before you can get your hands on awesome loot, you're going to have to venture into dangerous lands and face vicious creatures. In this presentation, it's going to be the same. I'm going to first take you through a little tour of some of the new areas that we're introducing in patch 2.4, and then we'll talk about some of the creatures before I hand you over to the people who will give you a preview of all the awesome items. So in patch 2.4, we're adding 2 new areas and 1 new zone. First up, we have the Eternal Woods. The Eternal Woods are adjacent to the ruins of Seshron. They are the frozen hunting grounds of the fearsome Yeti, where you will not only face those woolly creatures, but also the reanimated remains of their victims. And the snowy canvas that the artists have created for us is absolutely perfect to display all the blood that you're going to be shedding. Next up, the Royal Quarters. You guys have been to Leoric's Manors, I don't know how many times. I mean, countless times. You've been there, you've taken the stairs to the left, you've gone, you've killed spiders. Awesome. Finally, the cultists have managed to clear the rubble on the right side of the staircase. It's taken a while, but you are able to now go into King Leoric's private quarters, where you're going to run into the delicious kind of density that you love, and maybe a secret. All right, 2 new areas, that's cool. But how about a whole new zone? So we are going to introduce in patch 2.4, Grey Hollow Island. Grey Hollow Island is an island, as you can tell. It's also a forest. It has, because it's a new zone, 7 new events with adventure mode friendly storytelling. We're trying something a little bit different this time. New monsters, because it wouldn't be a new zone without new monsters, so we're adding 16 new monsters. So these monsters, well, I'm not going to run through all of them, but if you go to the Slaughtered Caffin and play the demo, they're all there. But we're going to take a very brief tour of a few of them. So first up, we have the Bone Breaker. In the ruins of Seshron, you guys met the Yetis. This is his cousin, the Sasquatch. He's very angry. He doesn't throw you to the ground. He throws the ground to you and then takes you in the ground and throws it back to the floor. The Flesh Harvester, a very big crab. Lovely name, lovely creature. His little friends, the Amputators, because obviously we like colorful creatures in Diablo. This is my favorite. So not everything is a new creature. Something has to be a new trap as well. So the Glowing Death is a wasp nest. You get too close to it, you attack it by accident, and all of a sudden, a cloud of wasps jumps out and attacks you. Wasps are bad enough, but you guys have been playing since launch. So we took some of the wasps from original D3 at launch, we've stored them, and we've put them in this. So these are the angry, vicious wasps, not the ones we've nursed since then. All right, so the Ruins of Seshron is where you're going to find the Eternal Woods. If you want to go to the Royal Quarters, well, Leoric's Manor, of course. And Grey Hollow Island is in Act 5. So why do we go to these places? Why do we kill these innocent monsters? Well, because they're bounties, and we need all those bounty bags. We need lots of them. So you guys are going to be doing lots of bounties. An ice cube requires bounties. So we've added more bounties. Since you're going to be doing so many of them, we've added over 175 new bounties. I say they're in Acts 3, 4, and 5. They're mostly in Act 4 and 5 that needed a little bit more love. So those bounties, some of them you know, we're going to add some new cursed chests. There'll be some cursed shrines. You know those. Some of them are going to be based on the new events that you can find in Great Hollow Island. And the others are going to be bounty grounds. So bounty grounds are a new type of bounty. What you're going to do is you're going to go look for a portal, a very nice looking, friendly red portal. And once you take that portal, it's going to take you to a special world. It's a small, enclosed world. There's 6 of them. And you're going to run into one of 4 different types of bounties. So these are going to be mixed and matched. So what are the bounties that you can run into? Well, the first one is a play on cursed shrines. You have 6 shrines that are spread out over the level. Every time you click on a shrine, something very bad is going to happen. While you're trying to click on the shrines and bad things are happening, monsters are also trying to jump all over you. Do it fast enough, bonus chest. Shaman. There's a certain number of shaman. You're only interested in killing the shaman. Unfortunately, there's a certain number of fallen in the way, and the shaman keep bringing the fallen back to life. Burrowers. So we love treasure goblins. Alex here loves treasure goblins. He makes lots of new ones. So I wanted to add more treasure goblins, and we decided not to. So I added the gameplay of treasure goblins without any of the loot. So basically, the burrowers are running away from you. You have to kill them before they disappear. If you don't, another one spawns, and you have to repeat the process. It is the only time in our game where something is not running to kill you, but actually running away from you. So, it's not bad. Finally, champions. We all love fighting champions. What could be better than having to kill 3 packs? And if you're not killing them fast enough, those 3 packs are going to be spawning at the same time. So that was a very small sort of glimpse at some of the new areas, the new zones, some of the new monsters that we're going to be introducing in patch 2.4. If you want to know more, I'm doing a lightning talk at the Slaughtered Caffin. God, nobody would help me out. You guys are really not nice. So I'll be doing a lightning talk tomorrow at 11:30, sort of explaining a little bit more how we made the areas. But now, to talk about the incredible amount of new systems we're adding, Wyatt Chang.
Hello, BlizzCon. Is anybody else as excited as I am about these new areas and the new zone? Great Hollow Island, does that look awesome? But we're not just adding new areas in patch 2.4. 2.4 also brings a number of great systems changes. And this time around for patch 2.4, we've been focused a lot on basing a lot of our systems changes on feedback that we've received from you, the community. Before I go into exactly the changes that are coming, I want to talk briefly about how we handle feedback and the process that the team uses. Feedback and suggestions that we receive from the community comes from a number of sources. Sometimes from an email, the official forums are a great place, sometimes through Twitter or from Reddit. And we read and take in a lot of suggestions from these places. By and large, most of the suggestions fall broadly into one of 3 main categories. The first category is a suggestion that expresses a sentiment that the player is feeling, but for either sometimes a technical or development schedule reason, it's not something that we can implement. Or, more often than not, the suggestion's a great one on its own, but unfortunately conflicts with one of our other design goals. The second category, okay, so that was category 1. The second category are changes. These are the fun ones. These are the easy ones, right? This is where someone or a lot of people, sometimes overwhelmingly, are saying the same thing, and you know what? We agree. We agree, and we just say, hey, this is a great suggestion. It doesn't conflict with any of our design goals, and it fits within our development schedule. Let's do it. Ship it. Just get it in the game. Awesome. The third category of suggestion that comes in, this is the tricky one. This is where feedback's coming in from a lot of players, but it's a trickier issue, and sometimes we don't want to treat symptoms. We want to try and look for root causes. Or sometimes we want to think about what's going to be not just better right now in the immediate, but what's going to be better for the long-term health of the game. A great example of this was the Royal Ring of Grandeur. The Royal Ring of Grandeur was one of the most popular items immediately after Reaper of Souls shipped. But then around Season 1, people started to point out some of the gameplay anomalies with it. I'm not going to go into the whole history with the Royal Ring. If you're interested in that, Travis Day is going to be giving a short talk over at the Slaughter Cafe Inn going into the history. But it took us on this crazy journey, and that journey ultimately led to us making even more powerful rings and putting them into the game, and ultimately, Kanai's Cube. So without any more delay, let's go ahead and start talking about some of the feedback that we've received. Maybe some of you can relate to this one, the buff UI. A lot of people have been saying since patch 2.2 and patch 2.3, with all the awesome legendary items that have been going in, that people want to be able to better track the buffs that they have. Particularly with items like Focus and Restraint or Convention of Elements that was designed here at Blizzcon last year, you really need to be able to see these buffs. I mean, come on, Blizz, please. Right. Well, Nazgrin, we agree with you. And not only does the whole team feel very strongly about this, one of our gameplay engineers, Mike Hirschberg, he was very passionate about this one as well. And he put a lot of time in this development cycle to really revamp the buff UI. Let's take a look at some of the changes that are coming in. The focus is to try and really look at what kind of buffs do I get? Some of the buffs are just reassuring buffs, and they're just letting you know that it's active, but it doesn't affect your moment-to-moment combat. Whereas other, like Focus and Restraint, which I mentioned earlier, you do care that that's actually happening in your moment-to-moment gameplay. So for example, let's say that you're playing a monk, and you've got Mantra of Evasion up in your second slot. Rather than using up one of your 8 precious buff slots to tell you, hey, by the way, you know that passive that's always up? It's still up. So now we just put a nice golden border around the skill so that you have that reassurance that it's up, but it's not consuming one of your 8 buff slots. And then we have other skills which have an activation ability. Mantra of Evasion does this as well. So rather than using up another buff slot, we put a duration progress bar right on top of the skill. This actually works better than the old one because you don't even have to look inside a crowd of buffs. You can just look exactly at that very consistent location on your skill bar. Speaking of monks, has anybody partied up with a monk wearing innas? You know what that's like. And you've got all your mantras that are coming on. So here's a wizard hanging out, got my skill, and then a monk joins the party. And you know the monk joins the party because you got all the mantras. Well, let's create a little buff holder and just stick all the mantras in there. Again, I want to know that the buffs are there, but I don't need to be reminded in the middle of combat. And then later on, a barbarian joins your party, and your barbarian's going to class Warcry, and the Warcry goes into the buff holder as well. You know you've got the buff, but you don't have to be told about it all the time. So what else have you been telling us? We've been getting lots of feedback that there's too much discrepancy between the benefit of playing in a group versus playing solo. And this is another area that we wanted to look at. Now, we've said it before, and I'll reiterate again right now, Diablo was designed from the ground up as a multiplayer game. And we really want to make sure that players who take the time to put together a group have better rewards for it. But we should revisit how big the gap is, right, between 4-player play and solo play. And that gap is feeling too large. So we should do what we can to shrink it while still ensuring that players have an incentive to group when they can. And sometimes you're just waiting for your group to get online, and you want to run, some rifts or some greater rifts while you're waiting for all your friends to get online. And sometimes that feeling can feel, like the disparity is too large. So we're making 2 major changes in patch 2.4 to address this on this front. The first is that we're going to reduce the health of monsters in greater rifts for solo, 2-player, and 3-player play. This is going to shrink the gap between the highest greater rift that a solo player can do versus what you can do in a group. The other major change we're making, and this is a big one, has to do with experience gear. I saw one person on the forums say that every time he gets into a group to play, he feels like he has to dress up as a walking shrine. I don't know if you ever felt like a walking shrine yourself in group play. So what happens is there's a very powerful affix, the bonus experience affix, that increases the experience of you and your entire group. Plus, you have items like the Cane set, the Born set, Leoric Signet, the Crown with a ruby in it, giving tons of XP. Too much to give up. So, we're going to take this one head on and reduce the effectiveness of bonus XP at level 70. We're reducing it by a lot. For example, the ruby, which is normally 41% currently on live, is going down to 4.1%. So this is a really big reduction. Well, don't freak out, because we got you covered. To compensate, we're also going to multiplicatively increase the experience across the entire game for 50%, whether you're running greater rifts, regular rifts, or bounties. On top of that, an awesome console feature is coming to PC as well, and that's the massacre bonuses from Action Combat. Now, if you haven't played the console version, here's what it looks like. The longer you can keep a kill streak going, and you can keep hitting enemies, a UI will come up and tell you how your kill streak is going to get that massacre bonus. The longer your massacre bonus can go, the bigger the multiplier. And your experience can be multiplied by 1.75, 2 times, or sometimes more. So instead of getting your experience by dressing up as a walking shrine, now you're getting your bonus experience by engaging in a more active way. And on top of that, you get to wear your hard-earned gear that you've been searching for. All right, so gold. Is there anyone here who feels like they have too much gold? Need something to spend it on? At the same time, some people feel like they don't have enough gold, and there's a disparity. So some people don't have enough gold, and some people are swimming in it. And honestly, it has a lot to do with whether or not you've been to the vault, but we'll get into that for another day. But we agree, honestly, with the last suggestion here. What if we could add a use for gold to make gold valuable again? And one of the trickiest things is, how do we add a use for gold that is still optional, that doesn't make people who don't have a lot of gold and are still struggling to get enough feel like they're hugely missing out, and yet still be a compelling use for those who have a lot? That leads into the feature that we're adding into patch 2.4 is empowered rifts. So the idea behind an empowered rift is that it's like a greater rift, except you're going to pay some extra gold up front to get in. If you successfully complete the greater rift on time, you're going to get a 4th bonus roll to upgrade your legendary gem. Now, to handle the fact that some players have a lot and some players don't, the gold cost scales based on the greater rift that you're going to do. So if you're just doing a greater rift 1, it's only 159,000 gold to empower that rift. And if you're doing a greater rift 25, the cost goes up to 4.6 million gold. For those of you who have more gold, it's 49.9 million gold for a greater rift 50. And for those of you who are up at the highest echelons of play, a greater rift 75 is going to set you back 540 million gold per run. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking is, okay, I have a lot of gold, 540 million, it's kind of a steep price for a 4th bonus roll on my legendary gem. I mean, I've only got 3 legendary gems. Why would I want to, level it up that much faster? Is it really that valuable? That leads into a new recipe that's coming for Kanai's Cube. Kanai's Cube was one of the most popular features ever for Diablo Reaper of Souls in patch 2.3, and a lot of people have been asking for a new recipe. The new recipe, Culdesan's Despair, allows you to permanently augment one of your ancient items by sacrificing a legendary gem. Here's how it works. You walk up to the cube, and you put in any ancient item that you have. You also add some emeralds, rubies, or other gems, plus a legendary gem. Depending on what kind of gem you put in, you'll get either strength, dexterity, vitality, or intelligence, and you'll get 5 of the primary stat added to your item permanently for every rank of the legendary gem that you sacrificed. So the higher your legendary gem, the more powerful you can augment each of your ancient items. So like I said, there was feedback that we get from a lot of different places, and sometimes the category 2 type suggestions that we get, those are the easy wins that we really love. Some people ask for short things, like, I don't know what a pool of reflection does. Can you help me out? Absolutely. We can just explain that better in the tooltip. It totally makes sense to add it. It's very easy for us to do, so we explain that a little bit better. Other people want to see something like the damage numbers shortened. And if you've been over at the Slaughter Cafe, you'll see that we've already changed this for patch 2.4. If you're doing thousands and millions and billions of damage, these are going to be truncated. And while we're at it, we also call out your highest damage points in orange, and they kind of float and hang a little bit longer so you can really see those call-outs of how your damage is doing. Sometimes the request is small, quality of life. Patch 2.3, I know a lot of people want to collect all their legendary powers in Kanai's cube, and they want an indicator telling them whether or not they've cubed a power or not. Spankachu, I'm happy to tell you, in the next patch, there's an indicator right on the tooltip telling you whether or not you've already cubed this power. Some people want to be able to see their Death's Breath better. People have been collecting that a lot. So, in the next patch, it gets a sweet new particle effect and its own unique color. And finally, for the longest time, people have been asking for an easier way to compare their follower items. So, we're also adding the comparison tooltips for the damage, toughness, and healing when you're equipping your follower. So that's a quick overview of some systems changes in patch 2.4. I'm going to hand it over now to Alex Sulman, and he'll be covering items as well as the set dungeons.
Thanks, Wyatt. All right, Blizzcon, how's it going? Yeah, good to see so many Diablo fans here. I'm here to give you a quick run through on some of the new item stuff that's coming in patch 2.4. So whenever we have a patch, we always try and add new items that give a new purpose. Maybe they give you a new way to play. Maybe they make something that was old or didn't work very well new again and work better. And with patch 2.4, it's no different. We've added over 50 new legendaries. I'm not going to go through all of them here. I'm just going to give you a couple of examples to sort of demonstrate this point. Take the Kiyoshiro Soul, for example. This makes Sweeping Wind gain stacks whenever you're not dealing damage. And this gives you a new way to think about how you use Sweeping Wind. You can see here, thanks to the new buff UI, it's easy to see those stacks rising as you're standing in open space. Then we have the Blade of Tribes. This makes War Cry and Threatening Shout cause avalanches and earthquakes. You can see that here, making Threatening Shout more threatening and War Cry more wary. Wary? We'll go with wary. Then we have the Vile Hive. This makes Locust Swarm gain the effect of the Pestilence rune. This makes everything go green, basically. Look at the green. Look at the green. There it is. There's the green. And it makes Locust Swarm, which was already a pretty grubby power, even more grubby. And then we have the Twisted Sword. This makes Energy Twister damage increase by the number of twisters you already have out. And this allows you to really leverage the number of the twisters that you have out. And you can see here, it's really putting those enemies in a spin. Get it? Because it's twist. Okay. So there's also 10 sets that we revived in patch 2.4. We've added pieces to some that were previously only 4-piece. We've reworked some completely to make them more interesting. Take the Thorns of the Invoker rework. This has a new 5th and 6th piece, which gives it a new 6-piece bonus. And it finally makes Thorns matter. Who knew? Then we have the Shadow's Mantle. I've already had somebody ask me about this today. We've reworked this set. We had a lot of feedback with people asking if we could make a ninja set. And the Shadow's Mantle is that set. This is the Demon Hunter's Ninja Fantasy finally realized. If you combine that with the Kale's Point, which makes Impale return hatred whenever you use it, you can snipe a ninja or everyone in front of you to your heart's content. So, we also get feedback about people that just don't like sets. Why do I have to use a 6-piece set? I find all these legendaries, they're so much fun, and then you make me use a 6-piece set because it's the only way to be powerful. As mentioned here by American Madman and Miss Cheetah, we've thought about this a lot. We've given this a lot of thought because we can totally sympathize with that consideration. And so we solved this by adding a set. See, we're geniuses. No. So what we did was we took the Legacy of Nightmares 2-piece ring set and we reworked it so that you now get a damage and defense bonus if it's the only set bonus you're carrying. So you can see here from this character sheet, there's a collection of legendaries. You can use all the legendary powers that you want. You can get all the damage and defense bonus that you might normally get from a 6-piece set, and you can really build your own no-set set. So we add items. We love items. We like finding items. We get excited when they drop. We get excited when we use them. And we love sets, most of us, and there's the no-set set. We love sets too, and for this patch, we were trying to think about a new feature that we could add to the game that would allow you to really celebrate those sets, celebrate those items, and really, learn to play the sets that you love. And this was feedback that we got not only from the community, but also from within the team. We wanted something to really underline that accomplishment of spending all that time finally putting that 6-piece set together, or 5 if you use the raw ring. So the feature that I'm really proud to introduce is set dungeons. So what's a set dungeon? Set dungeons are deviously designed dungeons based around the powers of the 6-piece set. They're spread throughout Sanctuary. They were long thought lost until a tome that was discovered in the library in Leoric's Manor. And each page of that tome has a cryptic clue to the location of these portals, which are all spread throughout Sanctuary. Here's an example of one of those clues. In order to find the latest placement, one must travel to the Cathedral of the False Prophet, north of the Enclave that withstood Azel's wrath. Can anybody guess where that's referring to? That means it's cryptic. I like it. Well, spoiler alert, if you don't want the secret spoiled, if you want to try and figure it out yourself, look away now. To anyone that's still looking, there it is, clearly. Yeah? I mean, obvious, right? All right. No, I'm being mean. There it is. So when you find one of these dungeons, you approach it wearing the relevant set, you can enter this dungeon and face its challenges. And every dungeon has a number of objectives, but 2 main objectives that are built around the set that you're wearing. Let's look at an example. Take the Uliana set dungeon. Now, the monk has a 6-piece set, the Uliana stratagem, which is all about exploding palm, exploding as many things as you can at once. So you can see from the objectives here, these objectives are all about exploding as many enemies as you can, a number of times, and doing it all within a time limit. Here's another example. The wizard has a 6-piece set called the Firebird's Finery, which is all about burning as much as you can. So the objectives here are all built around that. And also, one of the 6-piece bonuses, which makes a meteor drop when you die. You have to leverage that to try and kill some enemies in this dungeon. Then we have the Barbarian Might of the Earth set, which is all about triggering leap and ground stomp and earthquakes in succession. And then one of my favorites, the Witch Doctor's set, the Spirit of Arakir, which has a toad that you get automatically when you have that set. And so this dungeon is all about licking as many enemies as you can, because that's what toads do. I mean, come on, it's easy. So there's 24 of these dungeons. There's 4 sets for each of the 6 classes. And each set dungeon has unique challenges. It's located in a unique location. And if you can solve the clue and go in that dungeon and master it by completing all of the objectives within a time limit without dying, you can earn a pennant. Here's an example of 2 of the pennants, the Witch Doctor pennant and the Demon Hunter pennant. You can see them on the back of the fourth of the characters here. And each of the classes has a corresponding pennant that you can only earn by mastering that dungeon, by completing all of the objectives. There's the Barbarian and the Wizard. And finally, we have the Crusader and the Monk. So each of these dungeons is a fresh challenge, is a unique challenge. Hopefully it will not only help you to learn the set, but it might also give you a reason to play a set that you've never bothered to play before. Maybe you want to go play that Firebird set that you've never played, or play that Spirit of Arakir. Go lick those enemies. So we're really excited about this feature. We think it brings something a little fresh to Diablo. We're really excited to see people trying to solve the clues and figure out where they are without just using a search engine. And facing these dungeons and trying to complete them, because, as I mentioned, there's 24 of them. They can all be mastered. And if you manage to master all 24 of them, which is no mean feat, it will be mean of us not to give you a reward for that. So you can earn these wings if you manage to master all of the dungeons. And really prove to everyone and yourself just how much of a master of Diablo you are. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Kevin Martins, who's going to give you an insight into some of the new season features.
Thank you very much, Alex. Wow, thanks everybody for coming out. We still have a lot more to show you today. Standing room only, it's very cool. So seasons have become an ever more important replayability feature for us, and since we introduced them in patch 2.1, you have all participated in live design iteration on this feature. We have done a lot of experimenting and hopefully, in your minds, a lot of improving with a ton of feedback from you guys in all sorts of different formats. So we've experimented with rewards. We've had season-exclusive legendaries that we've been giving out with powers that for the length of that season you can only get in the season. And this has been successful in drawing some people into the seasons who maybe otherwise wouldn't have tried them, so they have a good time. And some people have been unhappy with this experiment, so more on that in a little bit. We have done a lot of work with cosmetics. We started off with a 6-piece set over the first 3 seasons that you could only get in seasons. There's been banner rewards. There's been portrait frames. We've had pennants, and we've had pets like the Frost Hound in the current season. Conquests and leaderboards, a ton of experimentation has gone into those. So the idea of competition in a PvE-focused game like Diablo has been very interesting for us. And we've experimented, for example, just one of many conquests you've seen over the first 4 seasons, with races. Some of them haven't worked out so well, such as Race to the Top. So the idea of racing is not bad in itself, but racing to level 70, I think, didn't work out for a couple of reasons. So first, everybody gets to level 70, kind of no matter what our data says. That's like almost the first goal that everyone has in the game at this stage of play with seasons. So racing to do something that everyone was going to do every way, limited interest there. Worse, I think, was the fact that the way you did this effectively is you picked wherever had the most experience. You only did that over and over again until you got to the top. So that one wasn't super fun. However, races were fun, and we knew they were, so some of the other experiments we do think worked out. For example, Sprinter, where you race through the storyline, chapters 1 through 5, and as fast as you could. This one was interesting. This is something that most people didn't do very often. And when you change your build to focus on speed and movement abilities, but you still have to keep a minimum amount of DPS to finish the story, this was an interesting race. It had you do something you didn't normally do. And the competition for this leaderboard was very fun to watch. So along the way, we were starting to learn that personal accomplishment needed to be a part of all of the conquests. Not everybody can be in the top 1,000, no matter how many people compete for it. It's always limited to that. And there was a lot more than 1,000 of us playing seasons. So if we can have something that's fun to race to, such as maximizing how many monsters you can kill in a single cursed chest, but it's also something where you can challenge yourself to try it over and over again and get better at it, then we've got a conquest that starts to work well for everybody. So it was kind of the same thing with achievements. When we first put seasons out, we did all of the achievements from the main game, and all of you just redid them in seasons, and some of those are fun and some of them aren't, just like the original achievement list. We realized that we needed some achievements that were unique to what made seasons different. It's a limited amount of time with a specific types of goals that don't always exactly mirror Diablo 3 over the first few years. And so we started to focus on achievements that gave you something unique that matched season gameplay. And we're going to continue to do that, and I'll show you a few more of those in a minute. So all of this has now been encapsulated in the season journey feature, and I think that this is really where seasons have started to come into their own. The idea that you can have a quest for the season, that you have a specific goals, that you can kind of set yourself with rewards attached for every type of player, whether you have just a couple of hours a week to play and you're just trying to finish maybe chapters 1 through 4 in the season journey, or you're someone who's so dedicated that you're competing on multiple leaderboards. Season journey's got multiple stopping points and it's very clear when you get the rewards. The first season wasn't like that. You just kind of played until you sputtered out. This, I think, has really helped it, and we're going to build on this a lot. Okay, so with all that history in mind, what's happening next? So Season 5 will be beginning soon enough, and we are trying to improve in every one of these aspects, based on all of the feedback we've gotten and what we've learned with our data. So first up, we have a brand new feature for Seasons. Why do we have this? So we have people who are very attached to their characters, to specific characters. We have some people that have characters in every slot, and we've gotten feedback from both of you player types that you don't want to give up that character to start over fresh in Seasons, even if you're kind of tempted to go back with, many hundreds of thousands of people to do that again. So Rebirth is a safe way to start over. You get to keep all of your gear, it's mailed to you, and it can wait on your main account, throw it in your stash, give it to your other characters, whatever. While you start fresh, all of your character records, your experience, all of that remains, but you can take a character and start over fresh for the length of that season and get all that stuff back once you're finished the season, along with all the other rewards, the very generous rewards that you would have gotten during the season. So it looks like this. This is Nanook the Barbarian, Paragon 800. Obviously, this person has put a lot of dedication in, and obviously that is not Conan spelt backwards as well. So when you rebirth him, it's very simple. You click the button, you confirm that you want all your gear mailed to you and your records will be maintained, all your hours played, etc. It's your same character. And for the length of that season, that character gets to start fresh, play with your friends, meet new friends, get all these new sets and rewards and achievements and so on. So speaking of how long will this happen, season length has always been quite a grand experiment for us as well. Everywhere from 5 months to 7 weeks, we're really trying to dial down exactly where the right amount of time is for seasons. So we're currently have a live season, of course. Number 4 is up and running. So it is going to be about 4 months long. It's going to end in late December. We have not picked a specific date yet, but we'll give you at least 2 weeks warning before that ends. And we're going to do one more experiment with season length. So far, all of our seasons have kind of come really hot on the heels of the seasons that preceded it, and they've usually matched when the patch comes out. In this particular time, we're going to take a short break between seasons, maybe a couple weeks, maybe a couple days more, maybe a couple days less. The idea is that at the end of season 4, everybody gets a little time where the entire community is in one place, and it doesn't matter whether you're playing seasons or not, all your characters are in one place as well, before we begin the next season. Okay, so season 5, I think we found the magic number, and season 5 will be the proof of that, of how long seasons need to be, and that number is 3 months long. So for us, we feel like people who do just want to get the initial season journey done, maybe earn their pets, some of the early rewards, versus those who want to play it exhaustively and continually, this is about the amount of time where everybody can accomplish all the goals that we've set for you. So we'll see how this goes. If this works well, this will be the season length from now on. Conquests. We have settled on 10 of our favorite conquests, and it does include a couple of new ones based on set dungeons and some of the other new features. But season to season, we'll have 5 conquests in both hardcore and softcore mode, the same ones, and season to season, these will rotate. All of this continues to be in the season journey feature. The goals for the season journey will also vary a little bit season to season according to which bosses you need to kill for the chapters 1 through 4 quests, etc. So there'll be variance there as well. So why will you continue to do this? Well, the rewards, of course, are also being amped up. We have made a lot of cosmetics and we're making a lot more. We're going to have a more settled cycle. As we figured out what you guys like, what you actually equip and use, what people really try to get to fast, we're going to have sort of a settled cycle. We're going to have more portrait frames. more pets. And in fact, this pet, the Wicker Man pet, is coming in Season 5. Even though we just gave out the Frost Hound, pets have been so popular, we're going to give you another pet right in a row to increase your stable a little bit before we move on to other things in the cycle. Looking ahead, here's a pennant from a future season after Season 5. This is the Skull and Bones pennant. This are the Andario wings. So very different from the other wings, the throwback wings as well. These will be fun, also from a future, as of yet unnamed season. Okay, so what about Legendary Awards? As I mentioned earlier, this has been controversial for a variety of reasons. Some people did not want to have to play the season. Hopefully with the Rebirth feature, those people will feel like they haven't lost anything in the sunk cost or so on. This we're going to go in a different direction with. We're going to cut season exclusive legendaries. So all of the 50-plus legendaries, of which Alex was only able to show you about 4 today, all of those 50-plus will be available for everybody as soon as patch 2.4 launches. But some people really like the seasonal legendaries, so we didn't want to let you down either. So instead of going with the random legendaries, whatever happens to be new at the time, in Season 5, you're going to be guaranteed a 6-piece set. Of the 24 class-specific sets, every season you're going to have a different set. These will rotate for you. So for example, the Monk is going to get the Sun Wukong set in Season 5, and in Season 6 and beyond, he will get a different set.
Hey, Kev, one second before you go any further.
Yeah, Wyatt Chang.
I mean, it's great that we're getting like the Sun Wukong set. It's going to be guaranteed in the season. And Alex was talking about the set dungeons, right?
Yeah,
I'm going to have all these sets that I'm going to be having. But where am I going to put it all?
Well, it is incredibly convenient and timely that you asked that, Wyatt. Oh, I had many more bullets here. Here we go. I think we're going to give you, right at the beginning of patch 2.4, as soon as it launches, if you go to your stash, there's a new button there. For normal in-game gold amount, you can immediately buy an extra tab.
You think?
All right, so 1 tab, that's cool. I noticed there's a lot of room for additional tabs there. Furthermore, in Season Journey, you will get a new stash tab every Season Journey that you play from now on, up to, hold on.
Wait for it.
Right, let's take a look at that real quick. So here it is, in Season 5, you have 1 tab. You finish, in this case, the Conqueror objective for Season 5, and automatically, no in-game gold cost, totally free, another tab. This will continue up to a maximum of 10 tabs. That is to say, doubling your current stash space. Okay, because I thought this might be popular, I'm going to re-summarize that one more time in a slide in case people want to take pictures. No, wait, how do I get these again? All right, everyone gets a new tab immediately on 2.4. In-game gold cost, rather moderate, 500,000 gold. Every Season Journey, starting with the first season, so you get 2 stash tabs right off the bat. If you complete the objective in the Season Journey, you'll get more, to a total of 10. This is all very PC-oriented, so console players out there, you're going to go, because you don't have seasons, immediately from 210 to 350 slots as soon as patch 2.4 launches. And this will be, of course, for Ultimate Evil Edition on Xbox and PS4. So that is the end of the new features, but before we move on, I did want to do a quick summary slide, multiple slides, because we do have so very much stuff coming in patch 2.4. So let's recap what we saw today. The new zone, Grey Hollow Island, which you can play right over there today. The Royal Quarters in the Eternal Woods, new areas based on existing ones. We have new events for these zones and areas, 60 new monsters, over 175 new bounties. Empowered Rifts, which is intended to be a gold sink for everybody. The buff UI is getting overhauled. XP balance is happening between single player and multiplayer. A new Kanai's Cube recipe to augment items. 50 plus new legendary items. This is the most items we've released since Loot 2.0 itself came out, since Reaper of Souls launched. 24 set dungeons. Season Journey improvements, the Rebirth feature, the settled season length, the new cosmetic cycle, new pets, conquest, guaranteed legendary set, stash tab for everybody, additional stash tabs in Season Journey.
All right, but when can we play it?
Oh, when can you play? Well, it's incredibly convenient that you asked that, Josh. We have this happening pretty much immediately. We have 2 steps to the public test for this. On Monday, we have a brief technical patch. 230B will go up on PTR. Please give it a shot. We need to do some back-end testing before we launch the 2.4 PTR, and that will be coming later next week. Wednesday or Thursday, if all goes well, everyone in the world will be able to PTR patch 2.4. Everything you saw today and many, many more things.
That's not a typo. That's next week.
Next week, Wednesday or Thursday, though, please participate in that technical test. So, the Slaughter Cafe Inn, if you haven't already been there, and I met about 50 of you today, so I know some of you have, is right over there in Darkmoon Fair. Grey Hollow Island, all those monsters, another area, a dungeon called the Tidal Caves you haven't even seen yet is also over there, and a lot of these new items. We are all going to be there throughout it. Everyone who made all this stuff on the entire team is going to be at the Slaughter Cafe Inn at one time or another. Please stop by. A lot of lightning talks are happening for the rest of today up until the costume contest and all day tomorrow until closing ceremonies. Before we move on to questions, I do want to say on behalf of the Diablo 3 team, it is a privilege every day to come and work on this game. We love it so much. Thank you for your support for all these years and all these tests and experiments and iteration. When we've fallen, when we've gotten back up, when we've gotten you new items to make up for all that. Thank you for being there with us.
Awesome. All right, we have a couple minutes for questions, so feel free to ask questions. Now, if you have very specific questions about items and all this kind of stuff, we're going to be right over there right after. So, come bug us about all the minutiae you want to bug us about. But if you guys have any high-level questions, let's quickly fire them off.
Hi. The gift that adds a socket to a weapon, I've forgotten the name. There's a lot of RNG around achieving them. Have you had any thoughts about smoothing that out? Like, I'll get 1 and 400 Paragon levels, and my friend will get like 6.
Yeah, so you're talking about Ramaladni's gift, the one that adds a socket to a weapon. Honestly, we're pretty happy with it, and I know that sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't, so I think it deserves an explanation why. An item like the Royal Ring, which enabled a completely different playstyle depending on whether you had the ring or not, or for other items, we want to make sure people are able to get that. Ramaladni's gift is viewed more as just a straight, incremental increase to your power. It doesn't enable a whole new way to play. And we wanted to preserve that sort of really exciting moment when you do get one. And the only way to do that is to not make it, guaranteed under any circumstances.
Awesome. All right, guys, let's do lightning answers so we can get as many questions as we can.
Hey, guys. So being able to augment items with the legendary gems, are you going to be able to do that multiple times, or is it just a one-time thing?
That is going to replace the existing one if you do it again. So if it's like a level 70 gem and you got 350, later on you have a 72, you're going to be able to apply 360. So it'll replace.
Okay.
Thanks, Menegades.
That was lightning.
Hey everybody, how you doing? I wanted to ask about the set dungeons. Is there going to be a tied difficulty to it? Is it the difficulty you find the portal in, that's what the difficulty is inside?
No, yeah, each dungeon is a fixed layout with a fixed population and a fixed difficulty level.
And one more question. Is there going to be a way to track it? So if we're trying to do like all 24, for instance, will you be able to see, I did, Firebird, Wizard, etc.?
Every set dungeon has 2 achievements associated with it, one beating it at the regular level and one mastering it, so you can track how many you've done whenever you do them.
Perfect, thank you.
All right.
Come on.
Questions?
I was wondering if you would consider making Follower Cannot Die baseline to kind of open up the relic spot to be more interesting. Because right now, Cannot Die is like the only one that you use.
I don't know if that one, that's, I don't think we have any plans to make a baseline. It's an interesting suggestion. Right now, I guess it's for high-end grift pushing with a Unity that is dominant, but that's not currently on our timetable, but it's a good suggestion.
It looks like we're giving all the no answers to Wyatt today.
Whatever it is, no.
Hello, I was wondering if you guys had figured out anything with the server slam PTR and the lag issues. And for, I don't know, another question, with how mob progression was changed for greater rifts. If there was anything we could do to change the progression for cave maps, which have really low density and makes it hard to progress through a greater rift because of how you guys wanted it to be like 10 or 12 minutes to kill the mobs and then 2 or 3 for the boss.
For the greater rifts, that's definitely one of the caves or one of the layouts that we're constantly trying to look at ways to make them feel a little bit better. It's very tricky to just increase the density. Unfortunately, that wouldn't just solve the problem. One of the things we're looking at is adding more breakables to the caves, because with action combat, when you destroy the breakables, you'll get a speed boost. So maybe adding in the dead ends breakables, which would allow you to go through the space a little bit faster and get to monster faster. That's an idea we're exploring.
And I do want to take the time to thank everyone who took part in the server slam to help our engineers identify some performance optimizations. We weren't able to deploy any of those optimizations to the current live game between PTR and other, but we do have some optimizations planned for 2.4.
It looks like we only have time for about one more question, but we will be going over to the Slaughter Cafe, and everyone in line, come right over there, and we should be able to talk to you guys right away.
So my question is about all the colors of numbers whenever you hit something, except for with pets. So let's say you have 5 zombie dogs. Whenever they hit something, will it be a different color, or could you make like an icon next to it that has like a zombie dog picture next to it? I like pet builds.
Totally a Wyatt question. He would actually do this work.
Yeah, no, for the pets right now, we don't differentiate between the two. There's sort of the white, the yellow. The orange is more to help you gauge, when you're getting a new high, or you hit a power pylon and you see a number that's 4 times as big. But no, there's no plans to differentiate the pet damage right now.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Again, you guys questions?
Thank you.
Somebody write your name down. You're next when we're over there. Okay, we'll be right over there. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you for attending the Blood and Treasure New Content and Features for Reaper of Souls panel. Up next, the StarCraft II Legacy of the Void competitive multiplayer panel.